Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my first impressions look on the Nike Kyrie Low 5. So I got this on eBay and it was pretty damn expensive. It was like 160 bucks with shipping and all that. I'm pretty sure it's available overseas like in China and stuff like that, but in the US we've been getting shipments very late. This will probably come out in a couple months, right? So I just went ahead and got it on eBay. If you guys do want to call, I'll try to leave a link in the description box. And as far as pricing goes, I'm guessing it's gonna be 110 bucks because the Kyrie Low 4 is 110. Well, this is the ID version, but the regular general release Kyrie Low 4 is going for 110 bucks. So I'm guessing the 5 is gonna be the same price, or they might increase the price by $10. By the way, it's probably gonna be around 110, 120 bucks. So let's get it started off with the tracciones. And for the traction pattern, it's actually very similar to the Kyrie Infinity, right? So we can see here in the forefoot we have that spiky circle, and the pattern is actually kind of different. It's a little bit different, but for the most part I would actually say it's more similar than different, right? And then here in the midfoot, it's actually almost decoupled, but the outsole is connected right here on the lateral side. And then here in the heel we have a more of a chaotic pattern and also some triangles. So I actually did play in the Kyrie Low 5 once. You know, I just came back from the gym like an hour ago, so I guess this is my first impression slash one-day review, right? So how was the traction? The traction was surprisingly really freaking good, and it was pretty dirty there. So trying it on my wood floors, it has a very nice bite and also a nice squeak as well. And the rubber compound seemed really good. I'm very surprised at it. And I feel like this is gonna be a top tier traction, right? It also seemed to pick up pretty little dust, so I'm very excited about that as well. And hopefully once I start playing in it more and break it in, it'll get even better on dust. But for durability though, durability seems like it's gonna be very bad. The grooves are super thin and the rubber is really soft. Like I can easily move it with my fingers. So if you're gonna be playing on an outdoor court, I probably wouldn't recommend it. But right now I'm super excited about it and it seems really nice. One thing that sucks though is that there's really no outsole curvature. The outsole curvature is pretty much gone from the Kyrie line now, you know what I mean? So you know, starting from the Kyrie 2, the 3, and the 4, it was very nice, very rounded here on kind of like the medial side of the shoe where the ball of your foot is, right? But then from like the 5 and 6 were okay. The 7 is pretty damn flat, and so is the Kyrie Infinity. And it's actually very similar to the Kyrie Low 4. You know, it's a pretty flat shape, and it starts to round off like at the edge right here. The Kyrie 2 and also like even the MB1 starts to curve up like right here, which I like personally, but you know, whatever. The Kyrie Low 5 doesn't really have a crazy outsole curvature, but I guess the outsole does come up for extra grip if you're doing these types of movements, right? Alright, moving on to the heel to toe transition. So it feels pretty smooth so far, right? So we have a nice curved shape here in the heel, a very exposed midsole, and this foam is actually quite soft. Like when I press it with my fingers, I don't know if you guys can see, but my fingers go in a lot here into the foam. And then here in the forefoot, we have a very nice curved shape and a lot of forefoot flex. Actually, a good amount of forefoot flex, but also a lot of flex here in the midfoot, right? And I actually did notice one thing though, like after I was playing, even after one game, my arches started to hurt a lot, right? And that's what happens when I play in a lot of the Kyries, just because they don't seem to have like a midfoot shank plate, right? Here, even here in the Kyrie Infinity, look at that. So my arches did hurt a lot, especially my left arch. So that definitely did suck. So watch out if you have like arch problems or something like that. But overall, heel to toe transition does feel pretty smooth. Alright, moving on to the cushioning setup. So we have a full length Phylon is what I'm guessing, but actually it's pretty soft for a Phylon, which I really like, right? There is a good amount of compression from the actual midsole, especially here in the heel, and it's fully exposed. There's really no caging from the outsole or anything like that. So that feels great. And then here in the forefoot, it's just a forefoot zoom unit, right? So here in the Kyrie Infinity, we have a very large volume zoom strobo unit here in the forefoot, and it has a lot of compression. You can definitely feel it right underneath your foot, right? But here in the Kyrie Low 5, I'm guessing it's the same zoom unit as the Kyrie Low 4, right? It's probably just like a either a rectangular unit or the same shape as like the PG2 or PG3 zoom unit in the forefoot, right? But either way, it's not, I can't really feel it all too well right now. Hopefully it breaks in and stuff like that, but nothing too crazy, especially comparing it to the Kyrie Infinity. It feels low to the ground though, which I like, and I definitely do like the softer foam, especially comparing to, remember this shoe? The Kyrie Low 3, which was super stiff for the foam, and also the Kyrie Low 4, which was pretty damn stiff for the foam, and also the Kyrie Infinity. You know, I definitely like how they softened it up here in the Kyrie Low 5. But the zoom unit is pretty underwhelming right now. Alright, moving on to the material. So we have pretty much the same exact material as the Kyrie Infinity. Look at that. Looks very, very similar. It's actually pretty much the same exact material. It's extremely thin. Like, look at that. Super thin. It's comfortable. It also feels pretty damn supportive. One thing that I did notice is this part right here. You see this kind of like wing here? So it's a synthetic leather material and the laces do go through it. But it only is right here, right? It looks like it comes down into the actual material because it is a different color. Or it's the same color here, right? But when I feel it, the material doesn't feel any thicker than just like here in the forefoot. Look. It's the same exact thickness here. It's only right here where this wing is, where it seems to add a little bit more support. So that's a little bit misleading, but either way, it feels really nice here in the forefoot. And it stays extremely thin here in the midfoot. Like, just look at that. Like, this material is see-through, and also we have an outline swoosh here, and the bottom of the swoosh is actually like open. And then here in the heel, we have like a textile material. It's kind of like a rib pattern, right? And then for the tongue is pretty interesting as well. So there is a little bit of padding here, which feels nice. It's not as crazy as the Kyrie Infinity though, which kind of does suck. I would say it's very similar to the Kyrie Low 4 actually. But if you look at the shape of the tongue, it's like an asymmetrical shape. Like, look at that. Pretty interesting. And also there is a tag on it. We have a Nike swoosh, and then here on the other pair we have Kyrie Irving's logo. And also the tongue is a half booty construction tongue. And then moving here into the ankle area, we have an average amount of padding. I would say it's not super well padded like the Kyrie Infinities, but it still feels pretty cozy, right? So the overall materials is pretty much the same as the Kyrie Infinity, but it just doesn't have as much padding in the tongue and in the ankle area. Alright, moving on to the fit. I went true to size and it fits me pretty well, but one thing that I don't like is the toe space, right? So I don't know if you guys can see, but look at how much it scrunches up here in the forefoot, right? And there is a good amount of toe space. It's not to the point where it's really uncomfortable and I hate it, but just comparing it to like the Kyrie Infinity and the Kyrie Low 4 and even the Kyrie Low 3. The Kyrie Low 3 is super snug here in the forefoot, right? And then the Kyrie Low 4 is still pretty damn snug. The Kyrie Infinity, I would say, is looser in the toe box than these two shoes, but then the Kyrie Low 5 takes it to another level and it's even roomier, right? I don't know if you guys can see, but this kind of like dips in here in the forefoot, and then the Kyrie Low 5 kind of just like scrunches up a little bit. So if you like a little bit more of a relaxed fit, then the Kyrie Low 5 is probably a good option for you guys, but in my opinion, I wish it was a little bit more snug. Lengthwise, you guys should be okay going true to size, and as far as the width goes, I would say it's a little narrow. So for me, the fit is alright. Alright, moving on to the support and lockdown. I feel like it's gonna be good. So here in the forefoot on the lateral side, like I said, this material is kind of fake. You know, I don't think this adds all too much support. It's just a different color, but the foam does act as a sidewall or a lateral counter here in the forefoot and also here in the heel. And we also have an internal TPU heel count, so lateral containment I feel like it's going to be good. And also for lateral stability, I feel like it's going to be pretty good as well. We have there's no outrigger, but it does protrude out here on the lateral side in the forefoot. And this blue part is actually rubber, right? All of this is rubber, and then this yellow part is foam. And also here on the blue part, it says air zoom because there is a zoom unit here in the forefoot. So support and lockdown, I feel like it's gonna be good. I mean, it's a Kyrie. Kyries need to be very supportive just because Kyrie does a lot of shifty moves and stuff like that, right? All right, moving on to the weight. I feel like this shoe is gonna be pretty damn light actually. Maybe like 11, 12 ounces? Wow, okay, so 10.93 ounces. Let's check the other pair. 10.97 ounces, so basically 11 ounces. That's actually a very light shoe and feels really light. Like older Kyries like the Kyrie 5 and Kyrie 6 were a little bit on the heavier side, like 13, 14 ounces I feel like. But for the past couple of models, the Kyries seem to be getting actually a lot lighter. So that definitely is a good thing. Like I said, this material is extremely thin. It feels very minimal, and the foam also feels very light. Look at all these compression marks already though. Look at that. That's pretty crazy. But either way, it feels great on foot and it feels really lightweight. Alright, moving on to the aesthetics. I love it. It looks awesome. The Kyrie Low 5, of course, takes a lot of inspiration from the Kyrie Infinity, right? So we can see that here in the heel, this rib pattern is very, very similar. The materials are exactly the same. The outsole is very similar as well, like the outsole pattern. The midsole also is kind of similar, I would say, just a little bit. So for the past two Kyrie Low models, it's been taking inspiration from the Kyrie like signature line, right? So the Kyrie Low 5 and the Kyrie Infinity, the Kyrie Low 4 and the Kyrie 7. The Kyrie Low 3 looks nothing like the Kyrie 6, right? So I don't know which one I like better. You know, I guess it is pretty cool that they do take inspiration from the signature line, but here in the Kyrie Low 4, it was pretty much just like the Kyrie 7, but like a low version, you know what I mean? But when the Kyrie Low line actually first came out, the Kyrie Low 1 was very different from the Kyrie 4, I believe it was. So what do you guys think? Like, do you guys want the Kyrie Low line to take inspiration from the signature line, or do you want it to be a completely different design, but just like a low version, you know? Tell us down in the comment section below. But wrapping things up, the Kyrie Low 5 is feeling really, really good. I like the softer foam, especially the traction is feeling top tier as well. I love the materials, it's super thin. One thing about the materials though is it seems to be getting very dirty very easily. Look at that. I don't know if it's coming up on camera, but yeah, and also it's a white material. But the only thing that kind of bothers me is the fit here in the forefoot. I don't like the roomier fit, but that's about it. Maybe they could have, I don't know, like maybe improved upon the cushion here in the forefoot, but they can't really add like a zoom straddle unit because the like signature shoe already has that, right? So I wonder what else they can do. But either way, the Kyrie Low 5 is feeling really nice so far. So that about wraps it up for my first impressions and I guess one day review of the Kyrie Low 5. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.